We're taking a look at guidance today here on Inside CPS. I'm Anne-Marie Fiore, Director of Technology and Information for the Chelmsford Public Schools.
And I'm Frank Tiano, Superintendent of Schools.
In our first segment, we have Mr. Tom Wright, the Department Coordinator for Guidance, along with two elementary school guidance counselors, Dawn Gesualdi and Susie Legary. They'll be on the show to talk about a new program called Social Thinking.
And coming up in our second segment, we'll have Christine Lima, counselor from our own Chelmsford High School. We'll be joining Tom and talking about Naviance, an online system used by our students at the high school.
We're rolling a short video right now that will give you an overview of the guidance department, and after that, we'll be right back to talk elementary school guidance. School guidance counselors at every grade level consult with teachers, nurses, school psychologists, administrators, and various local agencies to address the social, emotional, academic, and career domains of all of our students. The objective of the guidance counseling team is to be developmental and comprehensive in our approach to working with all of our students. Guidance counselors work with students in a variety of settings depending on the needs of the students. Sometimes counselors will meet with students to address personal topics in a one-to-one setting. Other times, counselors will meet with a variety of students in a group counseling setting, usually working towards a common goal. Finally, on other occasions, the counselors will deliver classroom guidance lessons targeted to the population they are working with. Some example class lesson topics include social thinking, bullying, goal development, Naviance, and career interests. A school's counselor work does not end here. Counselors also spend a lot of time communicating to families and agencies over the phone and through email, attending meetings to advocate for their students, and meeting with teachers and families to address one of a variety of concerns identified by family or team members. Chelmsford school counselors are passionate about supporting and advocating for all of their students. If you have any questions or concerns you wish to address about your child, please contact your child's guidance counselor. Welcome back. We're joined by Tom Wright, Department Coordinator of Guidance, along with Susie Legary, Elementary School Guidance Counselor at Harrington, and Dawn Gesualdi, Elementary School Counselor at Byam. They're here to talk about social thinking. So tell us, what is social thinking?
Social thinking is a concept that was developed by Michelle Garcia Winner, and it is a program that teaches the kids to look at their feelings, thinking, and behavior in a fun way, and it really gets the kids to learn about flexible thinking, which helps them in the classroom and also with their peers.
That's great.
So how is the social thinking curriculum actually used during the elementary school day?
We teach the vocabulary and all of the concepts in classroom guidance lessons and also in small groups.
Who is Superflex, and how does he help students to use their social smarts?
Superflex is the superhero of our program. He is the character that gets kids to do what is expected and teaches us about flexible thinking. So he's the character that the children all want to be like, and who we're trying to teach to be like.
So talking about Superflex, what is flexible thinking versus rock brain thinking?
So flexible thinking is when we are able to compromise and try all different types of solutions to different problems and not get stuck on one thing. So if we have the unthinkable rock brain in our brains, then we're stuck only on what we want to do, and we're not being very flexible, just like a rock would be.
Oh, that's great.
And who are the unthinkables?
The unthinkables are the other characters who get us to do what's unexpected. We talk about how everybody has their own team of unthinkables, and we learn strategies and teach strategies about how to defeat the unthinkables. So some examples are, we have Rock Brain, Glass Man. He gets people to have huge upset reactions. A common one is Worry Wall, gets people to worry a lot. So those are some of the unthinkables.
So what's your favorite unthinkable, and what strategies can you use to take them down?
I kind of like Glass Man a lot. He's one of the most common unthinkables, and he's the one that gets people to have big reactions, big upset reactions to small problems, so overreact.
Okay.
And so some of the strategies that Superflex and his dog Bark teach the students to try is to think about other people and think about, is this a small problem, is this a medium problem, or a big problem, And if it's a small problem, to have our reaction match the size of the problem, to have a small reaction.
That's great advice.
Why is this program effective in teaching social cognitive thinking skills? And do the students get involved and enjoy the lessons?
This program has been very successful in the school. It's at the elementary level. It really teaches kids to look at their feelings, thinking, and behavior in a really fun way. So the kids really think of it as a kind of a non-threatening way to look at their behavior and how to kind of do what is expected. So that's what we talk a lot about.
It gets people to think about that we all have thoughts about each other and how each other are acting and behaving, and to think about that.
So now you folks introduced this to the kids, but how can the regular ed teachers incorporate this into their curriculum or into the classrooms?
So we do this, we present the lessons through classroom guidance, but we also reinforce it in small group, and we also talk about it at school assemblies. But the teachers develop the language that we use in the lessons, and it's, a lot of the language is whole body listening, expected behavior, unexpected behavior. So the teachers really take the language, use it in the classroom, and use it to help with classroom management. And if there's any social emotional issues that come up in the classroom, they're able to kind of reinforce some of the ideas and language that we use.
And that's throughout the school, K to 4?
Yep.
That's great.
It's a fascinating program. The kids must love it. Thank you so much for being on the show and sharing that with us.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And we'll be right back with Christine Lima. We'll be joining Mr. Wright here. In between, we have a short video on Naviance. We'll be back in a minute.
A lot of students today have questions about their futures. Some don't know what they're going to do with their lives, while others may know but have no idea how to get there. The problem is, students don't always get the personalized attention and guidance they need, so they don't see a link between what they're doing in the classroom and what they hope to do in the future. Families often want to help, but don't know how they can get involved, and school counselors are spending way too much time on paperwork just trying to keep track of all their students, which makes it impossible for them to prepare individual plans for each one. And although many school and district administrators see a problem, they lack the information needed to improve college and career readiness at their schools. What if schools could put each student on a personalized path to future success, and school counselors and administrators could provide expert guidance to students about college and career decisions? Well, that's the story behind Naviance. It's a comprehensive college and career readiness solution that empowers students and families to connect learning and life, and provides schools and districts with the information they need to help students prepare for life after high school. Naviance allows students to create a plan for their futures by helping them discover their individual strengths and learning styles, and explore career options based on their results. Then it gives the students tools to search for college programs based on their interests, determine which courses they need to take to reach their goals, and identify areas for improvement. Once students are ready, Naviance makes it easy for them to apply to colleges, look for scholarships, and track their admission status. It even allows families to track their students' progress and communicate with school counselors. But that's just part of the story. Naviance also makes student success planning easy for schools and districts by offering quick access to student data and goals, automation of routine tasks such as email communications, student surveys, and submission of college application materials, and the tools to measure the effectiveness of their school's college and career preparation. Schools and districts can identify which students need the most help and put them on the right path for success. Plus, track outcomes for all their students to see how many get into college, where they go to college, and whether or not they graduate. The end result is that schools and districts are better equipped to make informed decisions and prepare students for college and their futures. And students will have a better understanding of what they want to be and how they'll get there. Learn more at Naviance.com.
Hi everyone and welcome back. We're still talking guidance. This time we're talking about high school. Most specifically, we're talking about the Naviance program available to our students at Chelmsford High. With us still, we have Tom Wright, Department Coordinator for our guidance department, and Miss Christine Lima. She's a guidance counselor at Chelmsford High School. She's in her 8th year here, and you can find her at Hawthorne House. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah.
Christine, we're talking about Naviance, and my understanding it's a great tool for students and for high school kids. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
So I'm really excited to have Naviance at the high school. We've introduced it since 2008, and every year we've been building on it. Both teachers, students, we use it for college research, career interest inventories, survey building, just meeting the child where they're at for post-secondary high school plans.
So we know Naviance is an online software program that the kids can access in school, after school, at home, wherever. So who at the high school uses it, and how do they use it?
So we have accounts set up for every student, freshmen through seniors. Our alumni can also go on it, and we can track where they are, if they transferred, things like that. We also have parent logins that's separate from the kids' account, so that they can't adjust their kids' settings, but they can also see what they're doing. And we provide those accounts through Naviance and through the district. We also have a guest login, so that anybody in the district wants to go on, they can see what Naviance has to offer, but in a smaller snapshot.
That's great.
Yeah, it is really a great, useful tool.
Now, you mentioned that all the students at the high school have Naviance, freshman through senior year. How does each different grade level utilize Naviance?
So as I mentioned, we have been building this curriculum the last couple of years. So we go into the classroom starting freshman year. We join up with the life management, since every freshman at the high school has to take life management. We go into that classroom, we introduce the career interest profile, getting goal setting. We piggyback with what they're doing in their curriculum, and we just expand it onto the network and to have this portfolio start being built. We then take it sophomore year into our U.S. History 1 classes, since all sophomores have to take that class. And we go in and we do some more who you are as a person, what kind of student are you. We match it up with what type of classes that they're doing and working on, introduce a resume building. Junior year is really the big piece of it. We meet with them several times throughout junior year to start the post-secondary planning. We can look at careers, we can look at college searches. We take about 250 students to a Boston College Fair. That work starts on Naviance. They have to research 5 schools in order to go on that field trip, all through Naviance. The guidance counselors have to go in, check off on it, see if it's matchable schools for them, and are you really targeting your population at this field trip? From there, they go on to do, again, update their resume, since it's year-to-year building. They can go in and look at a feature called scattergrams. Are these colleges where I'll fit? So the junior year is a big piece of really getting their hands in it, getting dirty in the program and saying, hey, this is where I want to be, and this is a good match for me.
Awesome.
And are there any other additional functions of Naviance that the kids use?
We do create surveys on there that they can go in. We have, Mr. Wright will talk about some new things, posting their classes, linking their classes in with Naviance. But we also, as I mentioned, the scattergrams. We have alumni tracking. It's a lot of data collection for us to help with the year-end reports. How many transcripts do we process every year? What's the average colleges that a kid are applying to? But overall, the program, we kind of take it year to year to year. So.
And soon you'll be implementing some new additions to Naviance. Can you tell us a little bit about those and who those will be available to?
Sure, I'll address that question. Recently, in working with the technology department, we've tried to see what other functions and features of Naviance that we could tackle and implement with our student body, and also educate our parents about. So some of the options that students have now, one, Chris has mentioned the alumni tracking. We only were able to access that to some extent with the previous settings that we had. Now what we can do is track students throughout their 4 or 5, however long it takes to get through their post-secondary plans, see what the retention rate is, if they transfer, where do they transfer to, and the guidance department and the school in general can use that just as data to say, how are we doing with our college and career readiness, if students aren't staying where they're going, why. There's a lot of questions that can come out of the alumni tracker. Another feature, we've noticed that although our standardized test scores are strong, we want to get stronger, be competitive with some of the more competitive districts in Massachusetts. So we've picked up their test prep package that allows sophomores and juniors to use the PSAT test prep, and it allows juniors and seniors to use the SAT and ACT test prep feature. So hopefully along the way we can get the students to start using that a little bit more. Certainly test prep agencies can be pretty expensive,
Yeah.
Sure.
So if we can add that as a district to support our students, their goals and ours, it's an excellent feature. There's 2 other features that are great. One is the course planner. What that allows us to do now is add into Naviance our, what do you call it, the program of studies. So basically we take everything that's in our student information system. For us, that's X2. We'll take everything from X2 and put it into Naviance. With that, what the students can do then is create a 4-year plan, and everybody can see it. Counselor, student, parent, and that way, starting freshman year, they can map out their entire 4 years based on our program of studies that is in Naviance, and then along the way, the counselors can work with students to make sure they're targeting what their objective is for high school, whether it be college or career. So that's a feature I'm really excited to learn more about. We have it available to us just now, just this month, and so we're going to get some training on that and see how we can make it most usable for the high school. The final piece that I like a lot, in our district, we've begun with a new evaluation tool with the educational staff and employing SMART goals to work on things that as educators we want to work on. We have that feature for our students now too. It's called success planning, and the students at any time can go in. There's a drop-down menu, and they can select from whatever we choose to have available to them. But basically, the drop-down menu, what we're going to throw in there is academic goals, personal goals, athletic goals.
Nice.
Basically just going to throw a lot of topics in there. There's always the other. And again, the students and the counselors will have access to those student SMART goals. And along the way, they can seek help too. So there's under the success planning, there's I wanted to write it down here, a raise your hand feature. So the student hits the tab, raise your hand, and then whomever they're working on with the SMART goal, most often it's going to be the school counselor, raise their hand, and then there's going to be a flag in Naviance. The counselor can take a look at what their question is, if they're struggling to achieve their goal.
Oh.
It's difficult from time to time during the school day with their full academic
They can
schedule.
do it electronically.
Exactly, do it
Yeah.
electronically, go back and forth, and the counselors can help students achieve their goals.
That's a good feature.
And so that's a quick snapshot at all the new features, but I think features that will be tremendously helpful moving forward.
Yeah. And students may be interested to know that Naviance is going to have their mobile version ready in July. From a counselor standpoint, what do you think that Naviance has been the most helpful for?
So I didn't answer what we did in the senior year with Naviance. I kind of saved it for this question. We have found it the most helpful in their senior year. Most of our students send out between 10 to 12 applications per student. We can now submit all their transcripts and documents electronic through Naviance. That has helped us tremendously on getting things out on time, not stuffing envelopes, postage, all those pieces that come with it. It has really helped us get that stuff out in a timely manner and document it. The school receives it, it's stamped, the parents know because they can see it on their kid's site. Yep, it was sent out on this date. The college received it and picked it up on this date. So it leaves that anxiousness feeling for the kid, like, oh, did my stuff get out? So that's senior year has been really helpful. The other piece that is taken out of it is with the data that's in Naviance on scattergrams and in the history, it's all facts. So the piece of the counselor saying, you know what, that may be a reach school, or that may be something that you might want to think about or consider. That's all data in front of them from past students. Who was accepted to that school? Who got in? What was their GPA? What are their SAT scores? So it takes that piece of, oh, Miss Lima just doesn't like me, so she doesn't think I can go there. Or my parents don't want to pay for it, so they're saying I can't apply there. It's all those pieces, and it's now in front of them. And they don't have to come to us and say, do you think this is right? It relieves that fear in them, seeing it in front of them as a guideline. We still have that communication, but it's now right there in front of them, and it takes those unanswered questions out of their head.
Yeah, it decreases their anxiety.
Exactly. Yep. Especially in senior year, it's so stressful for them.
Yeah, it is.
You've touched on this a little bit, but could you elaborate on how this has increased communication between counselors and students and families?
We, through Naviance, have been able, as a guidance department, send out weekly emails to parents and students. This email goes out every Friday, and it says, hey, these are your upcoming due dates. Hey, this is what you should be working on. This is your essay. Financial aid's coming around the corner. We can now put all of our scholarships that Chelmsford High offers through Naviance. The parents can see it. It promotes an area where you can just go to one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
All the links are there, all the descriptions are there. The parents can then email back and say, hey, great information, we really appreciate it. Or, it takes out, I've asked my student to go down and check in with you. They can go on and see it themselves. So it's really helpful tool for those parents to say that they want their kid to do it, but they still need to double check to make sure it's getting done. And then they email us and say, hey, thanks for sending things out. Or, hey, I noticed on Naviance this was sent out. Can you just clarify for that? So it really opened up the doors for all of us being on the same team for post-secondary
That's powerful.
plans.
Such an amazing tool. Christine, thank you so much for sharing it with us. Tom, while we have a couple of minutes left, you are the department coordinator for guidance here in Chelmsford. Prior to that, you were a middle school guidance counselor here. We've talked about elementary, we've talked about high school. I was wondering if you could share with us what's happening at the middle schools for a couple of minutes.
I'd be happy to.
Thanks.
Well, between both middle schools, the Parker and the McCarthy, they each have some unique programs going on for their students. At the McCarthy, they've decided to, with their SMART goals for this year, the counselors are working with a program called the Student Success Group, so they call it SSG. There are a lot of interventions in place for students with IEP or 504 plans, and sometimes we have students that do not have accommodations that just need that extra support system. So it's intended for those students, however it is open to every student. They have what's called an extension block, and that's where students get to do art, music, tech ed. However, if they're struggling, what's more important is to get them back to the baseline. It doesn't mean they're in there for the whole year. But what happens is the counselors attend team meetings, they talk with the teachers, who's struggling, who can we help support, and they do pull-outs during that extension block. They meet in the library. It's a combination of allowing students to get that big project done that they may not have been able to complete or didn't know how to complete. But it's also a blend of counselors delivering lessons that are most important for that student population, meaning helping them establish goals, teaching them study skills, helping them identify what their strengths are academically so they can learn to apply that more every day. So that's something that's new and exciting this year at McCarthy the counselors are working on. And even though we're at about the half-year mark, excellent results. And students are doing well, and there's great feedback from the teachers. So they're getting there with those kids.
That's great.
At the Parker, what they're doing is they decided to link with the school improvement plan and increase positive school climate. And by doing that, they survey the students at the beginning of the year in October. It was a survey, about 15 to 20 questions, and it just had to do about relationships in the building with peers, with teachers, and also had to do with the relationship with a counselor. We're curious, how well they know their counselor. The most important feedback they gained from that is the grade 5 and the grade 7. Because at the Parker, the counselors one is assigned to grades 5 and 6, one's assigned to 7 and 8. So by learning from the students how well they know their counselor in 5 and 7 with those two transitions, could provide really helpful feedback for the counselors as well. And then as a result of that, design targeted interventions, which they've actually been working on since that survey. Compiled all the data, and they've been gleaning from the data different trends where they can start applying different targeted interventions. So that's been a tool that not used before, but has proven to be really helpful this year at the Parker.
That's great.
Tom, can you tell us a little bit about your transition to K-12 department coordinator?
Sure, I'd love to. As you know, last year I was the department head for 5 to 12, and this year I am K to 12, and it's been a very exciting transition. My office is now located out of the high school, and I get to travel to 7 different schools in the district and see kids of all ages. So I'm used to being in a setting where I see kids, shoulder height and taller, and now, and now I get to visit the elementary schools and have a lot of fun there, especially with the social thinking curriculum that Don and Susie spoke of earlier. It's a lot of fun to see them in the classroom with their students. It's really exciting. I've just enjoyed all aspects of it, between visiting the counselors, getting to observe the fun things that they do and the great things that they're doing, working with the administrative team of coordinators and principals and assistant principals, and of course the central office team. It's just been a very enjoyable experience, very enriching, and I'm looking forward to the exciting things that we can do with the guidance team moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you both for being on the show today. We really appreciate it. In February, Inside CPS is doing a crossover show with Spotlight on Fine Arts. I'll be appearing on Spotlight on Fine Arts to talk about technology in the fine arts program, and Christy Whittlesey will be coming on our show to talk about the fine arts program. If you need more information on the Chelmsford Public Schools, please visit our website at www.chelmsford.k12.ma.us.
And before we close, we just wanted you to remind you to watch out for announcements from the Synthetic Field Committee. As you know, we're looking to put in 2 turf fields here in Chelmsford. This is a combination of a public and a private venture, and there'll be several fundraisers from now through April. So we'd ask you to watch out for that. As we close, we invite you to watch a video put on by Tom Peterson and his students at Chelmsford High School regarding turf fields. Thanks for watching.